A typhoon spider. Oh, dog right here. Oh, fuck you. Oh god, no. Dude, how am I bouncing between both of them over and over and over? Okay, now I got the bunny hover on me. I killed him in cloak. He was cloaked and I just...
Hey, what's up, Crossout Vaultech here. Today we're going to be doing a video on cannon mechanics and how it works, how it functions, how to armor against cannons, all that good stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. So right off the bat, you'll notice that the Typhoon, which is the weapon that we're going to be using today, the alpha damage that it has is 162 and then 101. So the mechanic is, for a cannon, is once it hits the projectile's durability, then what happens is the explosion happens, because the projectile itself has no more health once it finishes the collision. And so past that point, you'll notice that let me build something here. So let's use cooling systems because they don't have any ballistic or explosive damage resistance. So if I were to put those in a line with the cab, then when I fire the Typhoon, it doesn't go anywhere. It just detonates for the explosion damage on those two parts, and nothing goes to the cab. But if I were to remove one, the threshold being 75, then when I shoot the cab through it, it goes right through and connects and explodes on the cab, because once it hits the cab, it hits its projectile threshold and then goes poof. So another thing to notice about the Typhoon is that it has 75% damage penetration, which means that whatever part that we have that we want the Typhoon itself to connect to has to be at above 75% of the alpha damage that the Typhoon can do. So right now, let's try this here. So what is 75% of 162? Let's use calculator. It looks to be 121.5. So if that math is correct, and so we put in 275 parts, or durability parts, the Typhoon didn't penetrate and go to the cab, because this was 75. And then since it goes through, it doesn't pen for another 100%. It stops at 75% of what 162 is. So it stops right here, doesn't continue along. So technically, if we put a part that is 75% the value of one typhoon hit, it should stop it altogether without it penning. So let's take a look. Durability is 133. So Century line 122. So if we do 122 here, it should be able to stop a single typhoon shot from going through. Even though the typhoon's alpha damage is 162. So let's go 135. Yep, did not penetrate whatsoever. So now what we can do is we can start counting how explosive damage is kind of put into play. So the radius, which is going to be... what's the best way to do this? Defensive perimeter. Let's do this. So if we do it right next to it, and also, by the way, everybody, when a part, like a typhoon, goes here, and then it can't really penetrate through to something else to detonate, the point of the explosion is right here along this line. So when you count for your spacing, instead of counting behind, you're going to count at that space. So let's see how much damage it does right in front of it. Okay, 77. And then another thing about this is the farther that explosion radius has to travel, the weaker it gets. And that weakness is about 10% per pin. So before it was 77. Nope. Now it's 66. We added 1 pin. We're going to do it again. So there is 4 pins of space. Gonna run over here. $54. I'm gonna add another pin. So now we have 5. $43. Now we're at 6. And ultimately, the sweet spot number to completely mitigate all explosive damage is going to be 9 pins of distance. So we're at 7. Let's just jump to 9. $153. Yep. No more explosive damage at 9 pins. Just for continuity's sake, I can drop it back 1 to show you that it still connects at 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It should hit for about 10 explosive damage on the cab at 8. Yep. And yeah. And just so you guys are aware on how big the explosive damage is. So for a long time, I thought it was a cone. So it would just kind of like blow out. And then once the ballistic damage kind of did its thing, it would stop. Well, for a while, that's how I thought. Now I realize I had it backwards. So a good example here. let's get to the parts that do not have any damage resistances, which I'm probably going to do damage resistance in another video. Where did you go? There you are. Okay. So the impact of the explosion is going to be right here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to look at... Where is that part? Here we go. Don't know why that took so long to find. Okay, so what we'll do is point of impact. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pins. And then point of impact is going to be we'll do 4 on the sides just because like it can kind of change just depending on what pin ends up getting hit. And then I'll show you. So normally what's going to happen is I'm going to hit for 90 damage. And it's just going to go through. And that's the durability of one of those parts. Now when I hit this, it's going to hit for 302. And then you can see that the explosion damage is 34. So, what is that, 56 damage out of the explosion damage to that. And then this bad boy right here is 23, which is, I put that one back 5 pins. So you can kind of tell, like, based on the gap in the armor, it can mitigate how effective the cannon blast is. Because there's 2 different damage types that's incorporated into a Typhoon, or any other cannon for that matter. Which is, when you shoot, the projectile counts as ballistic. No, I don't even know where that shot went. Counts as ballistic. And then when the ballistic shell loses the durability to be able to continue to penetrate through, then it explodes in a 9-pin radius. Actually, no, technically an 18-pin radius, in a big sphere. 9 pins in each direction. And then, yeah, then it kind of deals damage, but each pin you get away from the epicenter of the explosion loses 10% of its damage, and just kind of keeps going down from there. So when you're building, you just kind of have to figure out the trade-offs between, do I want my build to be bigger, or do I want it to be a little smaller, but when I get hit with an AoE of any kind, I'm going to just get hit harder? But you're better off when you're fighting like ballistic weapons, because if someone's trying to shoot you with a punny and your build is smaller, then it makes you just a better like evader, because you're not going to be able to get hit as often if you're moving quick. But yeah, that kind of concludes the tutorial on how the cannon mechanic works. I hope to just kind of keep putting these helpful tutorial videos out on the mechanics of the game to help the community, for new players and veteran players alike, because these mechanics are changing pretty often. But yeah, if you did enjoy this content, please give me a like and subscribe, and you have a good day.